Well, a very pleased KwaZulu-Natal Hawks head Major-General Lesetja Senona, very pleased to be excused after 3 days testifying at the Madlanga Commission, of course, being led there by evidence leader Advocate Adila Hassim. It was, of course, his third day on the stand. His testimony has again today seen intense, testifying from here, the KZN Hawks head. His last day of testimony comes as the presidency, as we've said earlier on, has revealed that, in fact, Major-General Senona is amongst 5 high-ranking SABC officials referred for investigation by the Madlanga Commission's interim report that was handed to the president last year. Now, the interim report also found prima facie evidence of wrongdoing against other employees, 9 in fact, from the Ekurhuleni Metro Municipality. And they also include suspended Deputy EMPD Police Chief Commissioner Julius Mkhwanazi, who is implicated in allegations of, amongst others, murder and a subsequent alleged cover-up. We are going to be speaking to our senior reporter, Canny, who has been following developments there. She also earlier on, of course, got a sense from the Commission's spokesperson in as far as the Presidency's press statement and press release earlier today. And they've also given their sense in terms of, what they think of that statement, which we will go over with other experts that we have lined up for you today. But essentially there, today's proceedings that we saw from Major-General Senona, also again touching on a series of thefts related to cases of a large consignment of drugs that was stolen at the Hawks offices in Port Shepstone in KwaZulu-Natal over 4.5 years ago, including 541 kilograms of cocaine at the offices. It's also revealed that the office had been broken into several times, including while Senona was the head of the KZN Hawks. He's also responded to a number of other issues that we will unpack with Canny in a moment. Canny, I do believe you are ready for us, of course. That concludes Major-General Senona's 3-day testimony at the Commission. He did, in fact, think that he would have needed just 1 day to conclude that testimony. And again, today, we have revisited several, or at least the Commission has revisited several points that were, highlighted throughout his testimony, including the series of drug thefts at under his watch in KwaZulu-Natal, and of course the document that he had just to respond to, that 4-page circular that relates to police conduct when it comes to sharing police information. Just give us then just some of the highlights on the back of the presidency's statement today in light of the interim report of the Madlanga Commission. What transpired today?
Indeed. Good afternoon to you, Nati, and to the viewers at home. Essentially, Major-General Senona, KZN Hawks head, has finally completed his testimony, or rather the testing of his version, before the Commission on the 3rd day of his time on the witness stand. But I think his woes aren't over yet, as the presidency has given a statement which gives a clear indication that there are at least 5 high-ranking SABC officials. That includes Senona, that will be referred for investigation in light of the allegations and the serious nature of the allegations that have been made before the Commission. This all falls into the concerns that have been expressed that a lot of these implicated persons actually carry quite critical roles in the criminal justice system, and if allowed to continue with their roles while this process is taking place and while there are these very serious allegations in the air, some which point to prima facie wrongdoing, then essentially what you do is you put those particular institutions and the country at risk, and by allowing these individuals to continue with their work without answering to these very serious allegations. So he's one of the 5 that will now be investigated by that task team that we expect to be constituted by the current Minister of Police, Professor Kachalia, and of course that task team that will be investigating these individuals will report to the National Commissioner, that is General Masomola. So those are the updates regarding the current state of the investigations in light of the serious allegations that keep coming out of the Madlanga Commission, and of course affect the running or the respect of the rule of law in the country, and the ability to protect rather citizens and national security. Now, if we move back to the evidence of Major General Senona, why it has taken so long, Nati, to get through his evidence, because he has developed, or rather over the 3 days, developed this particular posture that seemingly tried to distance himself from any wrongdoing. So as he answered those questions, you could see he was being cautious and not candid about what is being asked about him. That is why you saw these questions about the same events recurring and recurring again. The sharing of documents, he struggled with that particular question. He struggled with recollecting what messages were about that Matlala sent to him. But where there were gaps, the Commission was able to fill them. A simple example would be that of the property purchase between Tato Senona and Vusimuzi Kat Matlala, the alleged cartel member. You see Major General Senona at pains to try and convince the Commission that this was an independent business deal between his son and this alleged cartel member, and he had nothing to do with it. However, you do see through the WhatsApp exchanges that the conduct there paints a different picture, that he was constantly seeking updates regarding this particular development. And of course, when that property purchase was examined further, probabilities led the Commission to concluding, or not concluding rather, but suggesting that in fact Tato Senona may have been an alleged proxy, and that this particular apartment may have been an alleged benefit for Senona for the kind of assistance that he would have given Matlala. They reached this particular suggestion because Vusimuzi Kat Matlala is someone who was conducting business to the tune of millions, and they couldn't find any sense, if I could put it that way, in him conducting business over a single apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment. What kind of business could have emanated from that? And because Senona was not candid, it is that reason that the Commission was able to reach that particular suggestion. And now when that pattern kept flowing and flowing and flowing of him not answering those questions quite candidly, it became clear what he was attempting to do. It seems that Major General Senona is quite aware of the seriousness of the allegations that he is facing, and it's clear from his conduct or inability to answer quite candidly to the questions that he's aware of the consequences that come with making such concessions. Because if a KZN Hawks head, SABC's high-ranking official of his stature, admits that he was sharing confidential information to an alleged cartel member, and he was doing so when he knew that that particular alleged cartel member had alleged criminal dealings, that he continued to associate with him up until his arrest, that seized cocaine went missing under his watch because the particular facility that it was moved to was allegedly not up to standard. All of these particular facts raise questions that would open up a different can of worms if he made those concessions. So you saw a pattern that the Commission definitely picked up, and at some point you could see that some of the Commission's bench were quite annoyed by this particular posture. However, following this 3-day testimony, Inati, I'm not sure that the Commission will be able to reach the conclusion that this testimony could be accepted or could stand as it makes its final formulations about this particular saga with respect to Vusimuzi Kat Matlala and what the alleged benefit could have been between him and this alleged cartel member. Over to you in studio.
Canny, thank you so much for that comprehensive wrap. Of course, we stay with the story and we'll unpack it further in our later bulletin.